Lawmakers pushing for a bill to increase the state's minimum wage to $16 an hour, but the bill's opponents say that it would increase grocery prices. Sophia Gernander is in Topeka and has more.
Should Kansas raise the minimum wage? That's the question lawmakers are asking, pointing to the fact that the last time the state raised the minimum wage was in 2009. Last week, Senator Cindy Holscher introduced a bill that would accomplish this, raising the minimum wage from $7.25 to $16 an hour. She points to states like Nebraska and Colorado, where the minimum wage is $15 an hour. But Republicans disagree, saying this increase in wages would force the market to raise grocery prices.
Or if these corporations are paying these lower wages to a certain group of people, that group of people then often qualifies for food stamps or other assistance. And then essentially the taxpayer is picking up that burden.
I don't know of any company now that starts their wages at $7.25 an hour, none that I'm aware of. And you know, there's no question. If you raise labor costs, things end up costing more.
The bill is being worked by the Committee on Commerce. Senator Holscher says she's confident it will get a public hearing. At the State House, Sophia Gernander, 12 News.